Welcome to the Michael Singer podcast, presented by Sounds True, in partnership with Shanti Publications. For more information about Michael Singer's work, access to all prior episodes, and information about upcoming releases, we invite you to join us at michaelsingerpodcast.com.
Jagged of Jam Masters. In the deep teachings of surrender and acceptance, people get confused and they often ask the question about aspirations. What about aspirations? Okay, let's talk about aspirations. But you really can't talk about anything until we're all sure we're talking about the same language. And words mean something to you, they mean different to everybody else, and based on your experiences and your knowledge and et cetera, et cetera. So before we get to what aspirations mean and what meaningful aspirations are, let's talk about the state of affairs. The state of affairs is you're a conscious being. You live inside yourself. Everyone should know that. It's not complicated. You're in there. If I ask you, are you in there? You say yes. You don't know where. You don't know what. You say, yes, I'm in here. But you don't know where you are in there. You don't know who you are in there. You don't know anything about yourself. A normal human being knows nothing about themselves. They only know about what they like and what they don't like and how to get it and how to avoid it and how they feel, not who's in there and what is the nature of self and where is the seat of self, etc. So that's a clue about aspiration. Maybe you might want to know who you are. But we start running around trying to decide what you want. So we start with the fact that you're in there. Well, if I'm in there and I'm me, I'm not anybody else, I'm me in there, what am I doing in there? Okay, the whole topic, purpose of the last book I wrote, Living Untethered, is talking about that. Forget about who I am in there. What am I doing in there? Well, I know what you're doing in there. You're watching your thoughts. You're aware of your thoughts. Your thoughts talk to you. I don't know if I like that. I don't like what he said. I wonder if I should go here. I don't know. Anybody got one of those? Anybody got some? Those are called thoughts. You have them. Do you know that you have thoughts? How do you know you have thoughts? Because I'm in here. And there are thoughts in here. If you weren't in there, you wouldn't know there were thoughts in there. Like, if you're not conscious, you don't know you're in the room. You don't know there's anybody here. So you're in there, and you know there are thoughts in there. You have to talk about nice thoughts, not nice thoughts, X-rated, PG. I don't care. All right? There are just thoughts in there. There have always been thoughts in there. Did you have thoughts in there when you were 5, 10, 15, 20, 34? Were they the same as now? Not a chance in the world. But there were thoughts in there. Is that the only thing you're doing in there is experiencing your thoughts in there? No. There's these other things in there. They're called emotions. Anybody got any of those? Are they different than thoughts? Emotions are energy forms that happen inside. There's love, there's hate, there's fear, there's insecurity, there's jealousy, there's pride, I can't even list them all. How do you know that? I don't know you. I've never met you. How do I know that you know what I'm talking about when I say jealousy? Anybody know anything about jealousy? Does anybody know anything about jealousy? What's a word? How do you know? Point to it. You can't. Why? It's inside. And you experience it. So you have thoughts in there, which you experience. So one thing you're doing in there is getting bombarded or paying attention to your thoughts. Another thing you're doing in there is getting bombarded, generally, and paying attention to your emotions. Keeps you pretty busy, doesn't it? There's something else you do in there. That would be enough, wouldn't it? That's like a full-time job, handling the thoughts and the emotions, okay? But you also experience the outside world. Me in here experience what's out there? Yes. That's why you have senses. I'm a computer guy. They're sensors. They pick up the outside world. Do you live out here? No. You live in here with your thoughts and your emotions. But you have senses that pick up the outside world, sight, touch, taste, etc., and they come in and they send their messages back to you. Isn't that what your body does for you? Does your body not house your senses? If I were to ask you, I want to give a whole lecture on this. What is the most important function of your body? Believe it or not, it is housing your senses. Take the senses away, there's no world. Don't bother visiting planet Earth because you're not going to experience it. Okay? So if there's any meaning to life, it has something to do with experiencing life. If you don't have senses, all you experience are your thoughts and your emotions in there. Could you still experience your thoughts and emotions in there if they snip that little place back there where all your senses come back in? Of course. When you go to sleep, you're not experiencing the outside world. When you go deep in meditation, you're not experiencing the outside world. But you're still there, aren't you? Like sleep, I told you, sleep has so much to teach you. What's meaningful to me as a yogi with sleep is as follows. You go to sleep, you have dreams. Do you have dreams? I forgot to ask you. Is that another thing you do in there, have dreams? Do you experience your dreams? Can you be in your dreams and have things happen to you and fly and do all kinds of stuff? Well, what's really far out is when you wake up, you say to somebody, I had this amazing dream last night. I was flying. I could go wherever I wanted to. I could move my arms. It was the most amazing thing. How do you know that you had that dream? Because the same you who's in there, experiencing your thoughts, experiencing your emotions, experiencing what comes with your senses, experience the dream. You don't feel any different when you say, I had this dream. Well, who's talking? Me? Who had the dream? Me? Same you, isn't it? There's only one of you in there. This is the essence of wisdom, of knowledge, of spirituality, of everything. You're in there. And you're the same being who's in there that watches your thoughts, feels your emotions, receives a sense from the outside world, and notices the dreams that the mind is creating. And you see them, don't you? Okay? So we're there. You're in there. It's you in there. Plus, I talked about your body. The senses come in, and you get to experience the outside world. I'm telling you. Now, it doesn't mean we're hedonistic, that the whole purpose of life is to feed your senses, right? That's not the purpose of the senses. They have a purpose. The purpose of the senses is to experience the outside world. It's to have experiences. If they're not there, there's no reason for you to be here at all. So another thing you're doing in there, aside from experiencing your thoughts, your emotions, is you're experiencing what's coming in from the outside world. What do you mean it comes in? This proves that you're in there. If you were out here, you wouldn't need senses. You're experiencing, here I am, here it is. But you have a whole system, and that's what your body's about. I don't know what you're doing with it. I don't want to know. Okay? But what your body's about is there are these senses, eyes, ears, nose, tactile, touch, taste, so on. Got it? They pick up the outside world. What do they do with it? What if a camera took a picture and no one ever looked at it? Kind of meaningless. So they come in, they have these cells that are sensitive, your sensor cells. And what do? Do your eyes just see? No. They send what they saw back to you. Well, how do they do that? They're wired. Really? They're wired. They're wired with what? With nerves. That's what your nerve cells are in your body. That's why they have purpose. They're there so they connect what comes in and is sensed by your sensors. They send this system back to your brain. So it's a wired system, but for what purpose? To get it back to you so that you're conscious and aware of what happened out there. And I've told you once before, if that's all there was eyeballs and ear things and some skin puddled there on the ground, picking up what it could pick up and sending it back there, that's not a very exciting life. Kind of like, that's where plants are. Well, they're better than that. They're just blob down there, right? Well, I'd like to have some structure so I can see more than just blob. All right? Well, then you have an entire skeletal system. And that's its purpose. The purpose of your nervous system is to send what your sensors pick up back. The purpose of your skeletal system is so that you can stand erect and see more than just a puddle of sensors down there. So now you have a skeletal system so that the senses can stand up. Well, then I'm a plant. I'm planted. Okay, it's better than just being a blob. Okay, I like to move around. Well, we better give you a muscular system. You get my drift? It's all about the senses being able to sense so that you have the experience of the outside world. Otherwise, you're just in there with your thoughts and emotions. It's not so complicated, is it? They should teach health this way in 5th grade, okay? And so now you have that. Well, there's lots of other systems. Like what? The digestive system. Why? What's that for? Well, I don't know. This skeletal system and this nervous system and these senses are all made of cells. They're living. They're living cells. Well, living things have to eat. You think you're eating for you. You're not eating for you. You don't need to eat. You in there? You don't need to eat. You're just consciousness. But this thing here that was given to you, quite a gift, by the way, has, 35 trillion living cells that need to eat and breathe and excrete. Therefore, there's an excretory system. Therefore, there's a digestive system. Therefore, there's a circular system. Every one of those systems is there so that your sensors can send back experiences so you have another thing to do in there aside from being aware of your thoughts, being aware of your emotions. You're aware of what's going on in the outside world, at least within the range of your senses. Fair enough? Okay? There's one other system in there that's really fascinating that has nothing to do with your senses. It's called the reproductive system. What's the purpose of that? To clone you. Laugh all you want. That's pretty unbelievable. It clones one of you guys, or one of the pair of you anyways, all right? And it just builds it in there out of nothing, out of pizza and Twinkies and Coca-Cola. It'll do it. I don't want to be the kid, but it literally has a chemist in there. Think about that. It has a chemist in there that breaks down what you're shoving in this hole in your face that has the purpose of not feeding you. You don't need to eat. Your consciousness. Consciousness has no body. It's awareness. It's awareness of being. But for this thing to be alive, it needs to eat. So you eat. It did something smart. It said, you don't care. You're back in here. You get lost in your thoughts and nice emotions, right? Well, the thing will die. So what do? I'll make it enjoyable. I'll make it so that when you put something in your mouth, it goes, ooh, I want to eat. And messages come back up from inside, from the organs. I need to eat. So that you come back down there. There were great masters. Ramakrishna was that way. They went so deep in meditation, they wouldn't eat. They had to bring them back. Ramakrishna was so deep in there, in Nirbhikava Samadhi, formless Samadhi, they used to whisper in his ear the names of Krishna to try and go fishing, to bring his consciousness back so that he could eat. So basically, now you understand the essence of what's going on in there. That's what's going on. The point is, it's all about you. It's not about your body. It's not about your senses. It's not about your thoughts. It's the receiver of your thoughts. It's all about you. Who are you? You don't know. It's hilarious. You don't even think about it. If I talk to you about it, you don't think about it. What you think about is, what can I eat? Well, you're not saying, what does the cell? Hey, cells, 35 trillion cells. What do you want to eat today? No. Right, I want some sugar. Right? It's all about you're misusing the purpose of the set. Not misusing, it's fine, do whatever you want. But basically, that is what you're doing with the senses. You're bringing things in. I want to go to Hawaii. I want to see this. I want to watch that. I, in here, don't know who I am, but I have this body. I have these senses. There is this world, and I want to experience it. Why? Now we're into psychology. All of it's spirituality. Everything fits in spirituality. They're all just the foundation of spirituality. Well, what is psychology? Psychology is pretty amazing, to my opinion, what they have figured out. Just like physics has figured out great things. Psychology makes a statement. I've been using it lately a whole lot, so you know it. And psychologists will tell you this. I don't care what field of psychology they're in. Man is the sum of his learned experiences. That's what psychology is based on. That's what Freud's based on. Mommy did this, daddy did this, somebody did that. You have to experience, so therefore you're the way you are. You are the sum of your learned experiences. Now you're not. You're in there watching your mind and your emotions be the sum of your learned experiences. Now, that was deep. Is that not true? Are you in there? If somebody says something mean to you yesterday, are you in there? He's not saying mean anymore. You're not there. Are you in there aware that your mind is the sum of your learned experiences, and that was one of the experiences you had, and therefore it's talking about it? It's happening all the time. You're having these experiences. They're over. Most experiences you have are gone. That's what happened. Somebody said something. Somebody did something. Something happened. Something didn't happen. Who knows? But you had an experience, but you didn't let it go. You don't know what be here now means. You know what be there then means. Okay? So you have an experience. It comes in. Fine. The senses did what they're supposed to do. They passed it on back. Your ears heard it. Somebody saw it. Come back. Here it is. And you received it. Fine. Well, guess what's going to happen next? The next experience. Somebody says something to walk away. Somebody hugs you, kisses you, walks away. Somebody yells at you, walks away. That is what it means to be here now. You're having the experience that you're having. But that's not what happens. What happens is, and I'm going to say for some reason, but we'll explain the reason in a moment. For some reason, that experience stays stuck in you. It didn't go through. It didn't pass. It passed outside, but didn't pass inside. But I thought the purpose of the senses, what if you had a camera? And when you went to take a picture, and remember the last one, double exposure. The picture didn't come out too good. They got to clear it, right? Not a good idea. Take the camera and be fixed. That's what you're doing. Comes in, but it got stuck. Does all of it get stuck? White lines on the road? Clouds flying by? No, not all of it gets stuck in there, does it? Don't think about the clouds that you saw 3 days ago, but you think about what somebody said to you 3 days ago, or what somebody didn't say to you 3 days ago, or the way they said it. It gives you a clue. Why do some things get stuck in there and other things don't get stuck in there? Believe it or not, you in there are not just the receiver, aware of your thoughts, emotions, the world. You can do stuff in there. Yes or no? Which one of you have this stuff called will that can push thoughts away, that can grab onto emotions and hold them because it liked them? Can anybody do anything in there, or is it just passive living in there? So don't you ever, ever let them tell you don't have willpower, right? They define it any way they want. That's will. You have will. You, the very you. Even when you were doing your dreams, you said, I was in the dream. I could make it fly. I was amazing. You have will. You have the ability to do things in there, not just to receive what's coming in from your thoughts, your emotions, and so on. And so one of the things you do in there, and you do it all the time, is cling and resist. That's a Buddhist term, cling. What does that mean? There are things that come in that when they come in, you in there like them. You like them, and you don't want them to go away, but they went away. Not in here, they didn't. I went to a place, and there were butterflies all over. It was amazing, and they landed on me. Beautiful, beautiful butterflies. Okay, you had a very nice experience. You can tell anybody about it? Think about it ever again? I'm the butterfly whisperer. You defined yourself. You hear me? So this experience comes in, and you cling to it. Not outside. You go back next time, don't go back if the butterflies aren't there or you won't like it, all right? But it came in, you in there, you. I'm talking about you. I don't want to give you a name, soul, self, Atman. You. I'm talking to you, okay? Comes in, the experience is inside, it gets formed in your mind, you experience it inside, and you hold on to it as an act of will. I'm thinking about it. Can you, wait, I talked about you receive your thoughts. Can you create thoughts? I forgot to talk about that. Can you create thoughts? See a boat right now. Boat. No, speedboat. Queen Mary. Wow, you're pretty powerful in there. Okay? This is what you're doing in there. I'm just slowing it down so you get some idea what's going on in there. And someday you're going to wonder who's in there doing all this, receiving and expressing. And so when things happen, you can cling to things that you like. You do. You cling, you hold on to them. You have things in there from when you were 5 years old. My father took me to the ball game. It was the most beautiful time. You held on to it. And then other things happen, like lots of them, that you don't like. You understand that? Like you could have a smell. Like you drove by a skunk when you were 5. And it's still in there. Oh, it's disgusting. It lasted 10 seconds. No, I didn't like it at all. So why did you keep it if you didn't like it? So you either cling to things you like or you resist things you don't like. I don't want that to happen again. I don't want you to send it to me. I don't even want to think about it. Then why are you? You say things like that. I don't want to think about what you said to me. But it was 5 days ago. It was 5 years ago. It was 23 years ago. You still must be thinking about it. That's called resistance. So the experience comes in. It forms in your mind. You have a mind. It forms in your mind, and the mind does not do it. You think the mind is not doing it. It's not true. The mind has a mind of its own. You in there are the doer. You're the receiver and the expressor, and you push things away, and because you push them away, they're still in there. Why is that still bothering you? Because you held on to it. There is nothing else in there but you making it stay in there. But I didn't like the experience. Then let it go. No. Well, you say no. That's really funny. But I really didn't like it. It's the worst experience I ever had. When did you have it? 13 years ago. Well, let it go. No, I will not. Why? Tell you why. I can tell you why. If you meditate, you watched all this stuff in slow motion. All right? Why? Because to let it go, it has to pass through you. You're in there. It comes in. It has to go into your consciousness and merge. Melt, like the river flowing to the ocean. If you leave it alone, it's been flowing in there for thousands of years. Decide you don't want it to go in there. Build a dam. Oh boy. That's what you did. I don't want this bad experience. It didn't feel good. I don't want to feel it more. For it to come all the way in, I'm going to feel it more. The way I can really get you is, have you ever had an experience, and it's very rare, so don't shake your head quick, that was so beautiful that it blew you away? It was just so, maybe an intimate experience, maybe a sunset, maybe something in nature, and you came back and just said, oh, it was so beautiful. It touched me to the core of my being. It just melted into you. I felt like I was in the presence of God. The sunset was so beautiful, I couldn't even talk, okay? Because it came all the way in. No resistance at all. It's very rare. No resistance at all. No thoughts, no emotions, no outside world, no senses. Just this thing came in and it went all the way back. And oh my God, I'll never forget that forever. It was the most beautiful thing that ever happened. Have you ever had an experience that touches the core of your being? It's rare, isn't it? That's too bad. Guess what? Every single experience is supposed to do that. Every single experience that you have is meant to touch you. But what if it's not nice? Let it touch you. Let it go through. But what if someone you love died? It generates emotions that come in and you touch them. They're so real. It's so unbelievable. That's where a great master is. Don't you dare think that if you're spiritual, everything's nice. If you're spiritual, everything's real. Everything's, oh my God. Like what happened with that experience when the person you love left you? God, it hurts so much. Oh my God. I felt like my heart was being torn out. And like, what did you do? I felt it. I just felt it. I felt it was so real. Hard to hear, isn't it? That's where a master is. All right? That's what be here now means. That's what it means to be open. That's what it means to experience life. Not the life you want, the life you don't want. Life. You're alive. You're real. You're whole. So basically, we don't do that, do we? We resist what doesn't feel good, and we cling to what does. Where do we do that? In this thing called mind. I told you had thoughts. You hold on to thoughts. You hold on to good and bad and emotions and so on, right? Well, kind of hard to live in there like that because I stored all this stuff I don't like. And I'm not experiencing the stuff I do like. The stuff I wanted that I liked, I want to happen again, is not happening. The stuff I don't want to happen ever again might happen. And so I'm in here as a normal human being. You don't want to be one. What you're doing in there is manipulating and controlling these things you held in your mind and emotions from the past, some of your learned experiences. See, that sounded kind of blasé, nothing, when I said it. Psychology says man, woman is the sum of their learned experiences. I just told you why. Because you held on to these experiences. Not all of them. The ones that were strong positive, the ones that were strong negative. Okay? You held on to them. And now you have to live in there with that which you didn't like. You have to live in there not experiencing that which you did like. That's not any fun, is it? Therefore, you're very, very busy in there. Very busy. Doing what? Making sure that nothing touches what I don't like, reminds me of, behaves accordingly, and that it more likely will be the way that when it comes in, it will touch what I do like. So you end up with these things called preferences. Where are preferences? A camera doesn't have a preference. It takes pictures, right? TV screen doesn't have preferences, but you built preferences in there. What are they based on? What I liked and what I didn't like. There's nothing holy about them. That which you prefer, he hates. That which he can't stand, you think is just beautiful. All based on what you held in there. So you built this model of life, how it's supposed to be, based on what you held in there. It's called your self-concept. You built a you in there. This is me. This is what I like. This is what I don't like. This is what I want. This is what I don't want. This is how I think I can get what I want. That's what you're doing in there. Now we're going to get back to the word I used to start with. We're getting close. Aspirations. Do you know what your aspirations are? To create a world that's the way I like and make sure there's a world that isn't the way I don't like. To get the job I want, to get the relationship I want, to have the number of children I want, to have them go to Harvard or not go to Harvard. Whatever it is that you've experienced, that you built in your mind that I like and I don't like are what determine your aspirations. That which you aspire for. I'll tell you what. When I was, 22, something like that, I was in graduate school, finished my PhD in economics, and I dropped out, left it all but dissertation, straight A student, just moved out to the woods where you're right now, moved out to the woods. That was not my father's aspiration for me. But it was my aspiration, okay? So it's just based, why? Because I had a deep meditation. That's all it took. And all of a sudden it became aspiration. See what I'm saying? It's the sum of your learned experiences. So basically what you're doing in there is over the course of your life, you've had experiences all the time. Some of them were neutral. They just passed right through. You don't base your aspiration. I want to go to a strip of road that only has double lines. And I want them to be yellow, not white. That's not tends to be your aspiration, does it? Why? You let it pass through. I want to see clouds that were the same as 3 days ago. None of you are doing that. But if you had an experience that you held on to because you liked it, or an experience that you pushed away because you didn't like it, I know what your aspirations are. I don't want that to happen again. I aspire to never have that happen again. I had a bad marriage. I got divorced. I ain't never getting married again. I don't want to ever fall in love again. There's your aspiration. Or I had a nice experience and I wish I could have it again. And just defining the meaning of your life based upon random experience that you happen to have, that when they came in, you happen to like them. Let me tell you something. If you had that exact experience, let's say that one you melted into for the sunset, that, it's so beautiful, right? If the day before your girlfriend or boyfriend took you out to the prairie and said, I need to talk to you, and the sun was setting and they dumped you, okay? You did not have a nice experience with them. Maybe you will never have another sunset you will like again. Come on, talk to me. The sum of your learned experiences. So it's not just the experience, it's what the experience is coming in on top of their psychology. Okay? So you're in there and you're a busy dudus, a busy dude and dudus in there, aren't you? And what you're busy doing in there is experiencing the thoughts that are the sum of your learned experiences that are generated based upon what's coming in now and how it hits what you stored before and what your self-concept is, if you like it or don't like it, and then resisting and fighting. And you don't just resist and cling inside. You resist and cling outside. Don't leave. You don't have to go to work today. Stay home. Cling, right? Leave. I don't want to see you again. You've externalized the thing. That what you're doing inside, you do outside. So that when the outside comes in, it feels good. And that is what your aspiration of life is. That the world outside of you, listen to me, that's everyone except for a very high being. That's what their aspiration of life is. That the world outside of me, when it comes in, makes me feel good and doesn't make me feel bad. That's my aspiration. I need to find a place to live. I need to find the weather. I need to find a person. I need to find a car. I need to find every single thing. You hear me? I need it so that when it comes in, me in here, who lives in here, is comfortable, not to mention happy, and feels love, and doesn't feel sorrow or joy or pain or anxiety or tension. And guess what? If that's my aspiration, I assure you feel anxiety and tension and worry. Why? What is the probability that the sum of your learned experiences, which is different for everybody and is different for you day to day, because you have one more experience, what is the probability that the world unfolding in front of you is going to match that? How about 0? Why would it? It doesn't even know you. You make believe it does. You say things like, why does it have to rain on my birthday? It doesn't know it's your birthday. Why'd you say that? Because I had aspirations. I wanted it to be a party to be the way I wanted it to be, and I wanted it to be outside. I had concepts of why'd you want it to be outside? Oh, when I was 5, we had an outside party with little horses, and it was so cute. You had experiences where somebody else said rain on their birthday party, and it was terrible, and then, oh, I hate the rain, I hate birthdays. Come on. The psychology, isn't it? So they're right. The trouble is they say you're the sum of your learned experience. No, you're not. You're the self. You're the you in there, the consciousness that is experiencing the sum of your learned experiences that you've held on to. Aren't you? You're in there. Let me ask you quick. We'll get way ahead of ourselves. Do you have to hold that stuff in there? Answer me. Then why do you? Because nobody teaches you how not to. So how about that for an aspiration? I'm going to jump way ahead of myself. That might be an interesting aspiration. I aspire that someday I don't have all the stuff inside of me that's screwing up my life, that makes me be anxious and worry. How about this for an aspiration? Right now, your aspiration is, what you devoted your life to, is being okay inside, feeling good inside, feeling love, being happy, not being sad, not being tense, not being worried, right or wrong. You all have different ways of doing it, right? So basically, that model that you're listening to is the sum of your learned experiences. Anyone want to question that? Okay. And what you've done is stored everything that ever bothered you before. And now you need to manipulate people, places, and things. Don't say that. I told you not to say that. I don't like when you say that. I told you I can't handle that. You talk to me like that again, I'm leaving. Okay? We're married. He wants to have babies, she doesn't. It's going to be fun. Why does somebody want to have babies? Why does somebody not want to have babies? Put aside the biological stuff, all right? I had a big family. We all got along. I'm Catholic. And so it's just, I want to have a big family, all right? Well, I had a big family and nobody got along. So we're not going to get along. I'm telling you, this is what you all are doing with your lives. You just built these preference systems based upon your past experiences, and now you defined yourself as that person. I'm the person who wants to have a big family. No, you're not. You're the self watching a mind that's made of the sum of learned experiences that says it wants to have a big family. It's still you in there. Okay? You don't have a big family. You don't have a small family. You don't want to get married. I'm telling you, you're you. You're the being in there experiencing things. But what you're experiencing is the sum of your learned experiences in your mind. And you have these preferences that you've developed based on your past experiences. And now you're trying to project those into the outside world, and you're only okay if everybody's exactly the way you want them to be. And you'll never be okay if they're not the way you want them to be. And that is your aspiration in life. Well, what other aspiration could there be? Not having all that junk in there, talking to you all the time, worrying you, telling you better get stuff the way you want or you'll never be okay, making you anxious, making you scared, making you self-conscious, making you embarrassed, making you fearful. Oh my God. You really want to live in there like that? And then have to go out there and dump your stuff on every single person you know so that they be the way you want them to be so that you can be okay. Well, why can't they be the way they are? Not a chance. I didn't marry you to be the way you are. I married you to be the way I want you to be. You signed the license. For better or worse. Well, I'm worse. Are you getting the drift? What if your aspiration was, I would like to be free. I would like to be free. Free to get what I want? No, free of me. Free of all this garbage going on inside of me that's telling me I can't enjoy life the way it is, that I can't love people the way they are. Free to experience reality. Freedom. Okay, there's an aspiration. It's not the highest one, but that's a good one to start with. We'll talk about the highest one, but that's a real good one to sit there and say, I'm a mess. I don't want to be a mess. And I don't want that the only way I'm not a mess is if you be the way I want you to be, because that's very conditional. And it ain't going to happen. Life just doesn't unfold that way. Life unfolds. I have this thing, and I know no one gets it. If it's true that your psyche, your ego, is the sum of your learned experience, your preference is the sum of your learned experiences. If you study physics, if you study meteorology, if you study any science, it will tell you that the moment unfolding in front of you is the sum of its learned experiences. It is raining today because of what happened in Spain 3 days ago. It is cold the other day because there's this Arctic thing going down. You understand that? There's this thing called cause and effect. And the outside world, every moment, is a result of cause and effect, including what other people said and what they do, cause the sum of their learned experiences. So the moment in front of you, I tell you all the time, has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the forces that made it be the way it is. There's a whole package in there. Does that package have anything to do with you? You're busy because you have your stuff trying to impress their stuff. You took on quite a job around here, especially since their stuff will be different tomorrow because they had different experiences. What in the world have you taken on? No wonder you're neurotic. Do you see it? It's ridiculous, all right? What about an aspiration that says, if I have a moment to live in my life, I want one moment that's not what I'm doing. Fighting, freaking, controlling, manipulating, everything. How many of you have a control problem? Don't answer me. Everybody has a control problem because of what I told you. You're in there with these preferences, and you're not okay if you don't get them, and you're really okay if you get what you don't want. So you have a control problem. I have to make you be the way I want, and say what you want, wear what you want, and be the way you want, and don't talk to her when you're with me. I have to control you, the whole world, the rain, the weather, every single thing for me to be okay. I don't want that okayness. That's called condition, and the conditions are really big. A lot of conditions for me to be okay. And not only do you change, I change. But you said you liked me like this. Yeah, I did yesterday. But since I met her, I don't know. I try to look like her. People do that, right? All right. Now do you understand what your aspirations are? Wow. That's something else. Your aspiration is, I'm not okay and I want to be okay. How do we say it that way? I'm not okay and I want to be okay. And you do it by what I told you. What's another aspiration? Meet midway. Why am I not okay? Well, we just discussed it. Because you collected your past experiences that you liked and didn't like, stored them inside of you, and built an ego that said, I'm this. I'm the one who likes this. I'm the one who doesn't like that. I'm the one who had this experience. I'm the one who had that. No, you're not. You're the experiencer, not the experience. And so you start by saying, I like to clean up in here. At a minimum, why in the world do you think it's rational to hold inside of you everything that ever bothered you? If you hold inside of you everything that ever bothered you, you're going to be bothered. So how about we start that way? Let it go. Now you get the teachings. Let it go. You don't know how to. That is what the spiritual path is. You'll talk about God later. It's like, well, you got that junk in there. It's only about you. Okay? So basically, you start off with saying, I made a mess in here. If you make a mess in your house and you're the only one in the house, clean up, right? Learn to let go. Those are my teachings, right? 1, don't put any more in there. It's very hard to let go of the big ones. You understand that? Don't kid yourself. Makes no sense when Mickey said, all right, try it. You're going to find out there's a reason you're keeping that stuff down there because it bothers you. And if it starts coming up, you push it back down as hard as you can, all right? And you make sure nobody stimulates it or touches it and reminds you of it or anything. So basically, you're not going to touch that stuff right away. Don't even try. Don't worry about it. It'll have its day, all right? If you're still putting more down there, worry about that. That you can do now. And you put stupid stuff down there. It's hot. I don't like that it's hot. Oh my God, I'm going to move. Where should I go? What are you doing? You made a mess of yourself because of the weather? How about trying to accept the weather? How about trying to sit there and say, I don't need to do that. I'm doing it, but I don't need to do that. I can work with myself. You're in there. I have will. You have consciousness. I can enjoy the weather. I told you, a little bit of time to do it. It changed my life. Back in about 72, 73, I was living out here alone. There was nothing out here. And it was hot. I didn't have no air conditioning in my car, no air conditioning in the house. And Florida gets hot in the summer. So he would talk about it. And I didn't like him talking. I was out here meditating, trying to make him shut up, all right? But he was talking. And I just stopped. And instead of fighting with him, I said, Mickey, hey, hello. Hey, hi. Okay. Got your attention. Why is it hot? It's hot. No, why is it hot? There's the sun. What is the sun? The sun is a star. Really? You don't like stars? Everybody likes stars. They twinkle in the night. When you do good at school, they put a star in your head, right? Everybody likes stars. It's a star. You know, the Big Dipper, all the stars. It's one of those. You're so close to one of those that it's hot, that you feel the heat from a star. Holy mackerel. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? How far away is that star, Mick? He happens to know. 93 million miles. Oh, Miami's 360. If all of Miami caught fire, you would not feel 1 degree difference up here. That thing is 93 million miles away, and it's hot. All of a sudden, it's neat, isn't it? Ever since then, if I get out of my car and I feel the heat, I stop and I do this. You're standing in the presence of a burning fire of a star. There's 300 billion of those things in your galaxy, and you get to be friends with one. You get to interact with one. You're interacting with a star. There. Call it positive thinking. Call it reality. Call it whatever you want. It changed my whole attitude about being hot. What about cold? It's cold in the winter. You know what he used to think, stupid little Mickey, right? He used to think it's cold in the winter because we're farthest away from the sun. Did you know that we are closest to the sun in the winter? Earth is closest to the sun in the winter. It is the tilt on the axis that causes it to be hot or cold. Well, it's kind of fun then. Use your mind for something meaningful. It doesn't have to be full of this garbage about what I want and what I don't want and what I like and what I don't like and how to get it and how to avoid it and how to work. What are you doing, man? You have a brilliant mind, don't you? Okay? Then you start using it. You have will. You left your mind alone. It just became a habit of ego. And that's not your mind. You may not be Einstein, but you have a brilliant mind. You understood everything I talked about so far today. The possum didn't. You're brilliant. So you use it to raise yourself. You use it to raise your thoughts. That's the first thing you do. Here's an aspiration. How about this? Here's an aspiration. I would like to be nice in here. Why is it not nice? Because you store all this garbage in there. Well, then you start today, everything. I always do the weather. People yell at me. I always do the same examples because they're good examples. You know what else you do it about? You ready? The driver in front of you. How many of you ever talked to the driver in front of you? Come on, buddy, use your blinker. Nice blinker, buddy. It's like, what are you doing? You're putting more garbage inside your head. You're putting more negativity, more discomfort inside your head, right? What do? You sit there and think that person's driving 10 miles an hour below the speed limit. You can't pass them. You can pass them if you want to, fine. But if you can't, then you're there. Why bother yourself about it? Why not sit there and say, well, that could be my grandma. Last year she gets to drive. I'm not going to tailgate her. I'm not going to beep at her. You say, come on, grandma, do it. I'm glad I get to be behind you, make a nice space for you. You can do these things with your mind. Isn't that amazing? They don't have to be those ugly things that cause you so much anxiety and trouble and negativity, do they? There. How's that for an aspiration? Raise yourself. Work on raising yourself. Don't work on getting everybody else to be the way you need them to be because you're not raising yourself. So you start working on handling today. You wake up in the morning. Here's your spiritual practice. You wake up in the morning and you say, I'm going to go on my axis, a 360 today on the planet Earth. That's what I'm going to do today. And I'm going to appreciate, enjoy, not resist or cling to the moments that are unfolding in front of me. I'm just going to say thank you. I'm glad there are moments. If it was on Mars, there wouldn't be any. I get to be alive. I get to experience reality. And I am going to experience it to the best of my ability and let go. Period. Then at night, since you didn't do real well, you sit down. No, seriously. Well, the first time you play tennis, it's going to go in the net. First time you touch the piano, I don't want to hear you. You have to practice. They're called your practices. In spirituality, they say, did you do your practices today? And they mean your meditation. That's not what I mean. I mean, did you practice handling life? Did you practice little by little handling the events unfolding in front of you? And you sit down at night, you see if anything got stuck in there, and you let it go. It's not worth fine. The driver drove the way the driver drove. Give me a break. I told you when Oprah interviewed me for the new book, she picked out a line. She's deep. Picked out a line and said, this is her favorite line in the book. It's mine also. The moment in front of you is not bothering you. You're bothering yourself about the moment in front of you. Do you understand that? The heat is not bothering you. Now, unless it gets 180 or something, right? The heat starts melting. The heat is not bothering you. You're bothering yourself about the heat. The driver in front of you is not bothering you. Traffic is not bothering you. The train you have to stop for, okay, is not bothering you. You're bothering yourself about it. Stop it. You'll change your entire life. So there's an aspiration. I said it wasn't the highest, but it's a really good one. And you work with that one. Work with handling reality. Work with appreciating that you're alive. Work with appreciating the events that are unfolding in front of you. And if they hit your stuff, appreciate that they found your stuff for you. You didn't have to spend $1,000 an hour for a shrink. And if it hits it, you sit there and decide, do I want this junk inside of me, bothering me, spend there all these years? I claimed I couldn't handle it. I'm grown now. I practiced my tennis. I practiced my piano. I can do better. I can handle this. That's your mantra. I can handle this. Instead of I can't handle this. I can handle this. And when it starts coming up, appreciate the fact that life is your guru. Life is your teacher, isn't it? It's going to hit your stuff. Welcome it. There's your next aspiration. I can welcome life, that it puts me through what I need to go through to liberate me, to free me, so I don't have all this junk inside of me. Well, there's an aspiration. We're getting inspired here. I'm giving you some aspirations. All right, it's multiple choice. So it comes up, you aspire to let it go. You aspire to love it, and so on, right? Ultimately, what happens? When you start cleansing in there, you're going to find out it's really nice in there. There's this energy in there called Shakti that starts coming up inside of you. I don't care whether you're a yogi, nothing. It just starts coming up inside of you. Why? Because you were blocking it with all that stuff. You start realizing it's not just nice because you're non-negative. There's positive in there. You feel it when you feel love. Why? Because you open. And so how about opening? Just be open. At some point you say, well, if the door is open, people can come in. I'll try to leave the door open. No, take it off the hinges. You want to feel love? Then feel love. Sometimes you feel love, and then you stop it because somebody didn't say something, because somebody said it not the way, right or wrong. I thought you liked love. Yeah, but no. Unconditional love. Unconditional well-being is not based on anything. It's just there. And you start feeling that. Well, that's a nice aspiration, to feel joy all the time, feel love all the time. It's not high enough. It is. I will tell you, it's a stairway to heaven, not a leap. Just take your steps. So fine, we'll start to cleanse. We'll be appreciative for life. We'll start to feel the joy, start to feel the love, start to be okay inside. Eventually, it takes time. You're mature enough to where that's going on in there. It's nice in there. And eventually you start wondering, wait a minute, who am I experiencing this love? You think love is great? It's not anything if no one's experiencing it. Who's experiencing it? Who are you? Who's in there experiencing these things? All right? And you start to seek self-realization. You start to seek something very, very amazing, which is you awaken to explore the nature of consciousness. That's what yoga really is. Where am I? Now I found out where I am. I'm the one who's watching all this stuff. I've relaxed more. I'm fine. I feel all this Shakti, all this joy washing me day and night. All right? And by the way, I think Christ, and I'm a Jew, Christ says something like, man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that leaveth the mouth of God. Oh, was he talking about you don't just live off what comes in from outside, that there's stuff going on inside? I guarantee that's what we're talking about, right? In fact, he said something else, which is really funny now that we had our talk about you in there. Where did he say the kingdom was? What did he say? The kingdom is within you. Christ is great yogi. The kingdom is within you. You in there that I'm talking about the whole time. Go back there. You'll find it. So then you start contemplating the nature of self, the nature of consciousness. You get to the seat of consciousness, you're experiencing all this beauty, and eventually you just realize, who am I that's experiencing it? I'm not what I experience. I'm the one who's experiencing it. And all of a sudden you're going in instead of out. It's an upward movement instead of a downward movement. We're all going down, looking at the thoughts, looking at the emotions, reaching out to the world. It's a constant downward thing. Most people have no idea what it feels like for it to be upward. That's a very deep state when it starts pulling you up. There are beings who not only worked their way through everything we talked about and started to get pulled up, but let go. That's surrender. Completely let go. Of what? Of the sense of self, the sense of individuality, the sense of I'm here watching. No, there's a source of me. You want to talk about God? God is the source of you, the source of who's in there. If you let go, all of a sudden, Meher Baba, first when he emerged, described, my consciousness was a drop of consciousness staring at me. It fell into the ocean. Find it. Take a drop of water and drop it into the ocean. Find it. You can't. What does it do? It merges. The word yoga means merger, union. That's what now there's your aspiration. That's the highest aspiration that can exist for any human being. And only human beings can get there. You're evolved enough. And Christ said, my Father and I are one. You see? I don't care if you're an atheist. I don't care if you're a scientist. It's wonderful, right? You're in there. And Muktananda said it perfect. Meditate on the self. Honor and worship your own being, for God dwells within you as you. Okay? So I thought I'd finish with the aspiration. You are the greatest thing that ever walked the face of the earth. Christ said, as I sit by the throne of my Father, that's a state of consciousness. I sit in self. As I sit by the throne of my Father, what did he say? So you shall sit by my throne. As I sit by the throne of my Father, so you shall sit by my throne. And these things which I do should do these and even greater things. I'm not really a Bible teacher. I read the Bible once in my life in 71, all right? But as I grow, I never forgot it. And his words come back, which is really beautiful. And by the way, they're the same words as Buddha's and the same words as all the traditions. So you are a very great being. And your aspiration is self-realization. Your aspiration is to let go of this garbage and find the nature of your being. So don't say I don't teach aspirations. All right. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Jai Gurudev.
You've been listening to the Michael Singer Podcast, produced by Sounds True in partnership with Shanti Publications. For more information on Michael's body of work and all back episodes, please join us at michaelsingerpodcast.com. Thanks so much for listening. Sounds True, waking up the world.